Hello, my name's Daniel King and welcome to my play of the day from round 5 of the Istanbul Olympiad. After 5 rounds there are 2 teams on 100%, Armenia and Russia, and we await their clash in round 6. Should be very interesting. But I haven't picked a game from one of their matches. I've gone for a game in the Germany-Montenegro match, which was full of drama. The whole match was full of drama, and this is the game from board 3 between Daniel Fridman and Fridman-Drasko. Okay, let's have a look what happened. Fridman has the white pieces. Knight f3, so a quiet start. Fridman plays pretty orthodox, solid chess. You don't see too many surprises in the opening, and we have a very regular, solid Catalan opening with the white pieces. Now, of course, black can capture on c4 here, and that's the more open variation. But Drasko plays the closed Catalan, keeping the tension in the centre, and Fridman plays in the approved way, that is to break in the centre with e4. Now, the normal move here is bishop b7 for black, but Drasko went with bishop a6, which of course has been seen on many games, but doesn't have such a good reputation. Well, let's see what happens. So b3, so it's all very regular development so far. And now this is already quite a crossroads for black. You can see that black's position is a bit cramped compared to white. White has a nice space advantage and very free development. The queen has come out, so the rooks can come into the middle. So it's very easy for white to play this position. But for black it's not so simple. A little bit cramped. Now how does black break free? Well, the move that I favour in this position is queen c7, just to bring the rook into the middle and await developments. It's still a little bit passive, but I think that black does best to connect the rooks. It's also possible to take on e4, but the problem is if you need to get in c5 very quickly, and this bishop is simply on the wrong diagonal here. It's blunted by this pawn on c4, and even after c5 you can see that bishop doesn't get to this long diagonal very easily, and in the meantime a rook can come into the centre. It's still very easy for white to play this position. So let's have a look at the game. Black played c5 and white took on d5. And now Drasko has played this position before, and his opponent played rook f d1, and Drasko also lost this game with black. But his position perhaps wasn't too bad. But I think Fridman played the best move here, queen f5. This is an excellent move, and I think this move highlights the difference between the two positions. Basically, white has already developed. He can bring his rooks into the middle very easily. The queen already assumes a very aggressive position, whereas if you compare with black's position, well, this bishop I'm not sure is on the best diagonal. The queen still blocks the rooks, they can't come into the middle so easily. So in practical terms, I think this is a far easier position to play for white. Okay, let's have a look. g6. Okay, well, we'll see there are potentially drawbacks with this move. It has been played on many occasions, but let's see what happens. Well, white very often would like to play queen h6 here and then knight g5, so black clamps down on that possibility straight away by playing h5. Several other moves have been played here. There was a wonderful game a few years ago between Razuvayev and Laputian in an old Soviet game, where Razuvayev won a beautiful game by sacrificing a knight on f5, and black had enormous difficulties on this diagonal, and you can see that the queen still blocks those rooks, and white won with a beautiful mating attack. Razuvayev against Laputian, I would strongly recommend a look at that game, but okay, we need to see what went on in our game. So h5 was played to try and block out the queen, but now some very deft moves from white. Okay, first of all, now the queen can't come out to c7 because rook hits the bishop. Okay, rook c7. Now, that's an interesting move because sometimes the bishop can cut back to hit the queen, but there was some very deft footwork from Fridman. Now, queen h4, I like this very much. We're trying to get in on the dark squares. Okay, bishop b7 played. If, for example, knight e4, which looks natural to hit the queen, then the queen just moves over. And if knight d2, well, you could just recapture, but rook e7 is a very good move. And in this kind of position, well, white is just a lot better. His pieces are active. 2 bishops, very good for white. Bishop b7 was played by Drasko. Queen f4, an excellent move. Looking at the rook, so actually rook takes bishop is already a threat, but also, as we'll see, the queen is eyeing up those dark squares. An excellent move. If rook e8, well, we can just play knight g5 and white's initiative just continues. I mean, black is in a huge mess already. Black played knight e8. I think black is actually losing this position. White took. Now that opens up the diagonal for the bishop. And then the queen slid down to h6, already threatening mate on h8. Very nice play from Fridman. Knight f6 blocks that. If bishop f6, I should say, well, we can just play knight g5 and it's mate next move, queen h7. So knight f6 played, knight g5, I mean, this is absolutely horrendous. Bishop takes f6 and mate threatened. If d4 to close the diagonal, then, well, white just picks up the d pawn very easily and it's still going to be mate. Okay, rook e8 played to, well, that means that it gives the king a square. If bishop takes, check, and then the king can just about survive on f8. But white has a very strong attacking continuation here. Knight f7, it's actually a very simple sacrifice because there is no connection between black's pieces in the middle of the board and the king side. So white has time just to follow up with knight number 2. And if, well, bishop f8 was played, if knight e4, well, we just chase the king over and it's mate. Very, very simple. So bishop f8 was played. Now there are various ways to win this position. Queen h8 is a good move. Threatening knight g5 mate, I think this is winning. But Fridman selected a very simple, very careful continuation. He's very pragmatic. He took on e8. Well, if knight takes, then we just take the rook, and well, we can take another pawn, and then swing the rook over. Easy win for white. So queen takes happened. Queen takes knight. So instead of going in for any complications, Fridman has basically reached the position where he's 2 pawns up and still has an attack, and the moves are very simple to play. I think Botvinnik once said, better to have a winning endgame where you're 2 pawns up and no complications than to plunge into, you know, tactics where you think you've seen a win, but you know it might be difficult to see. So this is very easy now, and the game finished like this, and black actually resigned in this position. White is 2 pawns up and is about to win another pawn. Black can't really take here because he actually loses a piece. So in this position, black was going to lose a 3rd pawn and simply resigned. Very nice play from Fridman. He made it look really simple. So Germany took a very quick lead in this match and they were heavy favourites on paper, but Najdic lost on board 1. He played a very uncharacteristically reckless attack, so the match eventually ended 2-2. In round 6, Germany have a strong, tough test against the USA. They'll have to play a bit better there. However, that was a very nice game from Fridman. Rest day today, Sunday, but the action continues on Monday for round 6. Hopefully see you then. Thanks.